from the Bonfire Studios North. It's the first episode of Tauros Weekly. I'm your host, Peter Theodos. Joining me was Ken Oda, and it's a pleasure to have our first guest, Shane Wagner.
Excited to get this going again, and fans, as always, you can interact with us just like the broadcast during the games. You can tweet at the team at Minotauro Hockey. You can tweet at either Pete or I at Ken_Oda, KEN_ODA, at
Theodos25, THEODOS.
Or you can message the team Facebook page, and those will pop right here on my phone, and we'll ask the questions as we get them in.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Shane, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me on.
So, obviously, we announced earlier this week that it was going to be head coach Marty Murray joining us, but unfortunately something came up, so...
Yep, unfortunately, you got me.
So, real quick, Shane, what do you think of this year's team so far and the start of the season?
Yeah, it's been going pretty well. You know, I thought last week was, a little setback, but for a young team, we're going to have a few of those, and the big question is now, how do we react next time around, and move forward from it? And we've had good success, and we're 8-1 and 8-1.
Well, now 8-3-3 after the weekend, yeah.
Yeah, so we were doing real well, and I think we just hit a little road bump, and every team's going to do it, so we just got to find a way to get through it.
Yeah, especially with this division, with how close everyone is. Unfortunately, a road bump does set you back a little bit, but as you said, everyone's going to hit that road bump, so once we hit our stride again, some other team at the top's got to hit their road bump as well.
Now, what has been the biggest surprise for the coaching staff now 14, 15 games into the season?
To be honest, I think we've been real pleased with a few of the newer players that come in and really took the ball and ran with it. And it's kind of about we weren't sure if we were going to have, this first year. Like last year we had, 12
guys or 14 guys back, something
yeah,
like that.
so it was, we knew a few guys would. The year before that, we knew Al and Saw and those guys would. And this year it's going to have to be, 4 lines strong. So it's been pleasant to see, 4 lines going and everyone contributing.
The team started the season with 10 in a row on the road if you count the last week of the preseason. Do you think that was a detriment, or do you think maybe it gave guys a chance to come together a little bit?
I think it might have helped us kind of figure out, who wanted to be here, who was going to be a good teammate, good player with the rest of the team and fit in okay. And plus, you do spend a lot of time on the road, and it gets you to know each other here, forces you out of your element and out of your comfort zone. So I think it was a good thing, but at the end of the day, it does really wear on you. And 10 of those before you hit a stretch like playing Bismarck is going to really kind of wear you down a bit.
You're talking about putting a wear on you. Obviously, your family does not live in Minot. Kind of explain, because these players are going through that too as well. They're not around their families. What kind of difficulty is that through this year?
It's huge, especially for some of the guys that have been at. For them, I was back in my junior days. I noticed coming out of high school hockey and being with your family, your teammates for the last 12 years, and then all of a sudden now you're moving to a new house, so you got new billets, and it's difficult to get to, but I think after a couple weeks the families are unbelievable. They take you in, they make you feel like one of your own, and I look back on my billet experience as something I'll never forget. I'm still in contact with them, and there were a couple that their sons and their daughters were great, and I look fortunate to have that experience.
What about for you personally now, as having a family of your own and being away from them and being in Minot with your wife and kids still being back home in Minnesota?
Yeah, that's been probably the one tough spot for me, and back 3 years ago when I got offered the position, it was kind of one of those things: do I stay at home stagnant and just run camps, or do I take a jump in it? And knowing Coach Marty and the Minot reputation, I was all for it. And I mean, my family, it's tough as anything to be away from them. I got 2 kids that are awesome. My wife's awesome, and I'm real thankful to have her. I mean, she's got to take care of a lot back home by herself, but we got a good support system. You know, and I can't say enough good things about my in-laws and my family that have helped out, and especially my wife. I mean, she's up every morning 5 with our daughter, and you know, she's running the 2 to the rink right now. So without her, this would not have happened.
Touching on Marty and having him as the head coach, how do you think that helps the team, having played at the highest level you can in the NHL? Do you think that's a very big plus for the Tauros, and not just coaching but also in recruiting?
Not to pick on other teams around the division, but
right?
You look at the resumes of Lane or Scott or the new guys out, Steve Howard, or the new guys out in Cloquet. Like, it's with the exception of maybe Mo, no one else in the division, or even the Midwest division as well. The other teams nearby, no one else has a resume like Marty. No,
and you know, and you could be like the resume's everything, but I think just the way he got there is kind of the key that I think most guys got to look at. You know, he an undersized guy that just worked day in, day out. You know, most of the guys we get are either undersized or have something, otherwise they would be in the USHL, and I think that really adds in that they've always gone through the process. He knows what it takes to make it to the next level, and you know, now our players are starting to reap that benefit. But yeah, I think just having that experience and knowing that showing up to work every day and paying your dividends is going to really come through.
And you didn't play in the NHL, but you made a good long career playing professionally as well. How did your playing career help you now as a coach?
You know, it was a different bouncer where I was at, but I just basically learned from different coaches. I had 6 from the time I left junior and 4 of them in the pro, and just learning how they found ways to gel guys together, different systems, how they taught the systems, how they made you expect to show up to work every day. But I think that for me, just playing day in, day out, and learning the grind of the system really pays off now when I see what the guys are going through, and I see the process that they're just at the beginning of.
What's the biggest lesson that you learned playing that you've been able to transition over into coaching?
I think it's just what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. You know, I was not a very good high school player. I started in Tier 3 and then got some pretty good coaching, and then all of a sudden I was leading the league in points the next year. But it's just, you know, if you work and it's never too late if you just keep going and you can keep pushing yourself to the next limit. And I think a lot of these guys understand, like, I think we've seen it with guys that might have been in and out of the lineup the year before, and they come back to lead the team in points because they're on the ice working on their shot, they're working on those little things, and now they're playing Division I hockey.
You know, obviously being in the same office, we spend a lot of time together, and obviously with you and Marty with your desks next to each other in the back of the office, you're watching a lot of film, whether it's the Tauros or this week's opponent in the Wings, or even just some U18 teams. What are some things that you're looking at when you do that video scouting?
I think for us, you know, it's compete is the number one thing. Like, is he going to play defense for us? Is he going to play it there? You know, is how hard is he going to work for a loose puck? You know, if they have phenomenal playmaking ability, that's great. But if they turn it over, are they going to get back and work? You know, so we kind of look for those little things, you know, and who wants to have the puck, who wants to win. That's kind of the things that we look for, and who's going to, you know, be the most effective shift in, shift out.
Yeah, you touched on it a little bit when we were talking about what the biggest surprise for this year's team was, but you mentioned some of the guys from the past couple of years in your time here. But compare this year's group to the last couple of years that we've had here. That first year you were here, we were a goal away from a title. Last year's team fell short in the Central Finals. Yeah, what is a reasonable expectation for this group?
I mean, I think every year it's been our expectation to win the division, you know, and I look at the lineups across the division, and they're all phenomenal, and they all got depth, and they all got real good players, you know, and, you know, the only thing is we're lacking is maybe we don't have the amount of 20-year-olds that we've had, but I like our youthfulness, I like our leadership, so the end goal for us is, and our expectation is to win that division every year, and, you know, and to make a strong push. Like we said last year, we thought whoever would win our division was going to win it all, and it happened, you know, and compared to other years' team. I think this is, the first year team was kind of a little quiet and took a little bit to motor together. Last year's team kind of gelled right away and just kind of kept chugging along. And this year's team, right away, kind of gelled really well, so we've been real pleased with all that.
You mentioned this being a young group. Is that something you kind of look at Bismarck after this weekend? They, for the last 2 years, were a young group that was, 2 years ago they didn't make the playoffs. Last year they brought most of their guys back again, made the playoffs, and now this year they look like they're a pretty dominant team. Is that something you guys look at as a coaching staff when you're building the team? Last year you had 15 guys age out or whatever, so now, had to go with a rebuild, a youth movement. Do you look at that as a 3-year plan, or is it attack this year and you never know? You're going to lose guys to the USHL. You're going to lose guys to college early. So attack each year as an individual season and figure the rest out later.
Yeah, that's kind of our, we always kind of picture the lifespan of any junior player as a year. We have a lot of really good youthful kids, but who knows where they're going to be at next year. So we're not rebuilding because we'll be grabbing again, So our main goal is to put the 23 best players that we can put together. And, if we need to get another player, we have to. But, we'd like to stay with our group and we like to develop. But we think we have 23 men that can really make a push for the division.
You keep talking about youthfulness. Well, one of the returners this year is the captain, who we'll have on here in a little bit on the show, in Cole O'Connell. How big do you think it's been to have Cole as the captain in that locker room with that returning presence to help the younger guys? And you better watch your answer because I can hear him in the background here.
That's okay. That's okay. He knows what I say about him. So, no, it's been great. I think Cole's been here for about 4 or 5 years now. For a kid like him that's been kind of watching the game here for 2 years in the stands, taking notes, it's been real good for him to come along. But, in seriousness, he was kind of one of those guys that we were, every year, I think Ken and I were talking after my first year about Mooch, kind of the jump he made from 2 to 30 goals, and like who's going to be at next year and, who's going to be at this year, and we have Kevin and OST. We're kind of like, I think those guys are going to make a push to be the guy next year, and I think they're doing it, and they're finding their niche. But no, I think just having that kind of strong leadership that we've had, the past few years is huge.
All right, so final question. Have to ask it because one of them's sitting right next to me. But in your 3 years here, you've lived with 3 different roommates.
Yep.
You lived with Waz, Coach Wyatt. You lived with Mr. Ken Oda and our team owner, Brad Porter. Out of those 3, who's the best out of all of them?
Well, that's tough.
Best roommate, I assume you mean, not
best
just
roommate,
best
yeah. Well,
person.
yeah.
If it's best person, I don't even have a chance.
No, it was my first year here. I lived by myself, and then towards the end, I had to move in with Ken, and it was a perfect fit for the situation. I think I was traveling back and forth a lot at the time, so I was able to sneak out of my lease and just put my stuff there, and it was nice to actually have a house for a little bit. But then the next year was with Wyatt, and he's a goalie guy. He's a little strange with some of his things. Like he collects a lot of weird player memorabilia. You're not allowed upstairs after 10. It's kind of a different thing. But he has like a weird phobia of cats and stuff. Like he's got to be around. He has one dog, but he keeps it caged up most of the night. I don't know why he has it. It's just kind of weird. And it could be with his snake collection or something that he has in his room. But, yeah, it's pretty much locked up 24/7. But then
hopefully animal control's not listening either.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'd be someone to look at for sure. And then, Brad's great. I think everyone can attest to how much he works. But it's just crazy. I'll be home at 7, and he's still at the rink slaving away. And just to come back to the apartment to talk more about Toro hockey. So it's 24/7 for him, but no, it's been great. He's when my son was up, he was awesome to him, and yeah, it's been a delight. And we have a nice little setup at our apartment complex, and like I said, Brad's barely there, and when he is, he's sleeping or getting ready for the next Toro trip.
All right, so I lied. This is the final question. Rumor has it in the office, your favorite player you've ever coached is Lincoln Earn. True or false?
That's definitely, he's up there. He's
Care to elaborate on that?
he's
Definitely top 200.
definitely. I think those stories will last me a lifetime. No, Lincoln was a great kid. But yeah, he always had a way to kind of make you laugh and just wonder what you were doing with yourself, coaching junior hockey in minor at the time. But no, he's. I'm glad to see that he's having success. But no, I think we'll have some good laughs about Lincoln for years to come.
All right. Once again, fans, that's assistant coach Shane Wagner joining us on Tauros Weekly. Shane, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, where's our captain at? Oh, captain, my captain.
See you later, man.
All right, joining us now on Tauros Weekly, as mentioned before, is the captain of your Tauros this year, Cole O'Connell. Cole, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Fans, if you have questions for Cole, feel free to drop them in. I've got the live feed up here. Comment on the post with your questions or send them to our Twitter at Minotoro Hockey, and we'll make sure we ask Cole the questions.
All right, Cole. So, obviously the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through what it means to be named the captain by your teammates.
You know, it's a great honor to be captain of a big group like this. We have a lot of leaders, I think, and it's pretty cool to be named captain. And I just feel like it's important to always be there to help all the young guys and also be a leader for everyone else. So it's pretty nice.
As mentioned before to Shane, you guys played 10 games?
10 games on
10
the road,
games, yeah. To start the year, 10 games. As that was going on, what was some advice that you were giving the younger guys to stay motivated, to stay energized, going into those hostile environments?
I would say just making sure they're staying in the same routine. Because if you get out of your routine, you stay up too late, you don't eat right, you're going to get out of shape and you're not going to feel good for the next game. So I think just let them know that every game is really important and you can't take games off. So I think early start to the season, having guys ready for each game was really important for us, and it helped us right away.
I don't think there's any question this last weekend was a pretty disappointing weekend with Bismarck. As captain, I know it was a rough week of practice. I've seen you guys getting worked pretty hard. But as captain, do you take any extra responsibility during those practices to make sure guys are working?
I think you just got to, I would say, make sure everyone is working, make sure they're putting in their own weight. I mean, because we all were out there this weekend and we all didn't play our best, and it showed definitely. And I think we all accepted the consequences in practice on Monday. And so.
What was practice like? Just walk us through what practice has been like this week.
Well, we had a nice little workout on Sunday. And then on Monday, we just had a hard-working practice. I mean, I think every drill was made for us to battle more because we didn't win many battles this weekend. So I think, it was really tough. And then we had a little skate at the end, and I think it helped us. I think it's going to make us never want to play that bad again.
Heard you took a little shot to the nose. How's the nose feeling?
Yeah, I did. Hunter Bjorgi hit me in the nose, but it's feeling a lot better today.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Junior hockey. A lot of you guys coming from Minnesota high school hockey, you played with guys your whole career that you grew up with. They were all from the same town. Now you're here in Minot probably for the first time playing with guys from all over not just the country but the world. But that isn't entirely the case for you. There's a nice little group of Fargo-Moorhead guys. What's that group been like for you?
It's been a lot of fun playing with them. I mean, I got to play with Kyler in high school for 2 years, so I really enjoyed that. He's a great guy and a good teammate. And then I got a first year playing with Jay Buckholtz and Cade Stibbe, and I worked out with Cade for probably the last 3 summers, so I got to know him pretty well through those workouts, and I know he works really hard, and he's doing really well for us. And then Jay, first time playing with him too, and didn't really know him a whole lot, and then now playing with him, I really enjoy it, and he's a great guy.
Do you think having that connection with Clevin, you said Clevin?
Yep, Clevin.
Having that connection with Clevin early on has carried over into this career with the Tauros?
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, I was here before. He was a whole year, and then he came in, and I was able to like be a little bit of a leader for him, showing him like how it works here in Minot, and he's definitely done really well here, and it's fun playing with him.
You're one of the more veteran Tauros. You've been here. This is your second full season, but you were here for the end of the season the year before that, after the high school season wrapped up. What was your impressions of Minot as both a hockey organization and a city before you got here, and now 2.5 years down the line, having been a Toro for that long, how has your impression of the city changed?
Yeah, so coming into Minot, I had no idea of like anything about Minot. I didn't know how the program was, and then once I found out I was coming here, I looked up the program and done very well. So I was really excited to know that I was coming to a good team with a great coaching staff. And then everyone's always asking, Minot, why are you going to Minot? They're like, why not Minot? It's kind of funny, but I really enjoy it now. It's got everywhere you can eat, so I enjoy being here, and it's been a lot of fun. And then the team now, and just the experience, it's been really great because my first year here, I walked into a really good team. They were struggling early on, but once I got here, the team was really good, and we made it playoffs, and we made it as far as you can get, and we were really close to winning the Robertson Cup. So it was a great experience so far, and I'm glad I'm here.
Go-to place to eat here in Minot?
I would say my favorite to go is Night Train. I love the dollar slices. Every day we go there quite a bit, and also I'd say Qdoba.
We have a question on Facebook for you. I'm supposed to ask you, who is the best floor hockey teammate you've ever had at Christmas time?
Ooh, that would be Carter Howell and Jolie Grunstrom.
Not Sam Jerome. That's the person who dropped the question.
Yeah, he's a great floor hockey teammate.
Now, obviously, you've got. Seems like every weekend's a big weekend in the Central Division. But our first look at Aberdeen, how's that rivalry been? We talked a little bit about it earlier today. Peter and I were on the Good Talk Minot podcast. We were talking about how the fans probably pick Bismarck, but if you ask the team, and Aberdeen's the biggest rival. Finally getting a look at these guys, what's the rivalry like for a player?
They've been a very tough opponent for us the past few years. They've been really solid. I mean, going into their barn is probably, I think, the hardest place to play. They play really well in their own facilities, and I think this year, a bigger test is going to be Bismarck. We really struggled playing there, but yeah, the rivalry's been hard.
Let it be known also that Sam is listening still, and he says he hopes you go -3 next game. So anything you want to say about that?
No, he's my biggest supporter, and he's always calling and texting me after each game. He's my cousin, and he's a great guy.
How much of a support group do you have back in that Fargo-Moorhead area still?
Yeah, I have a really big support group. I mean, my family's also very supportive, and then I have my whole hockey community, like my coaches in high school and all my teammates. They're all really supportive and always asking how I'm doing, and they're always looking up for updates, and yeah, it's great.
I noticed you're one of the guys that whenever we tweet about something you've done, your high school gets back involved. What does it mean to you to have that support from other places you've played, that they still follow you?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, they're very supportive. They're always looking at former players and how they're doing, and they're always wanting other players to know like how we're doing, and it's really nice knowing that they're always there and they're always looking at how you're doing.
Now you've got 4 assistant captains. Talk about what they bring to the table for you here. Nesser and Skinner both were here last year, and then Hukoltz and Armstrong Kincaid are new guys to the room. What's that dynamic like among the 5 of you?
Well, Ness and Skinner being here, they knew exactly what to do and how to do it here in Minot. And then adding Jay and Andronic has been awesome. I mean, they both played hockey somewhere else. They have different ways of play style, and they have different ideas, and it helps having those guys as leaders too.
Now, we've decided we're going to play a little bit of a game with you.
Can we get the captains?
Can we get the assistant captains up here?
Can we get the big, we got a little...
We want to see how well you know your assistant captains.
Alrighty.
We've got, there's Ness and Skinner. You guys might have to squat down a little bit. The camera's... There we go.
Now, no giving of answers here, boys.
Yeah, don't tip him off on the answers. We surveyed these guys earlier today. We're gonna ask you some questions here. See if you can get the answers, guys. Don't tip him off, but then after he answers, you can let him know if he's right or wrong. Which of your assistant captains claims to be an unreal bowler?
I know it's not Nick. There's no chance he knows how to bowl. Jay doesn't know how to bowl. It's definitely Kevin. He's got the long arms. He's a great athletic kind of guy, and I think it's him.
Was that the right answer?
Oh.
Who was it?
It's me.
Yeah, right.
Which of these guys said if he won $10,000 he would buy a monkey?
That's probably Skinner.
Which of these of your 4 assistant captains can speak 3 languages?
That's Nick. He's from Germany, so I know he can speak German, and I forgot the other one. Other language he can speak. Oh yeah, Mandarin.
Which of your assistants said he's hilariously bad at Fortnite?
That's Kevin. He doesn't play video games at all.
All right. And then which of these guys is afraid of having twins? Listed it as his fear.
Twins. Oh gosh. I don't think it's Kevin because he has a brother that's pretty close, same age. I think it might be Skinner.
Boys?
No?
No, it's me.
Why are you afraid of having twins? That you've got to.
Just having twins, 2 of the same person, just freaks me out.
And then last one, while we're talking about fears, which one of these guys is afraid of the rides at the fair?
Ooh. I don't think it's Jay. I think that's Ness.
It's me.
You're 0 for 2 on that.
Both times you missed the other Fargo Moorhead kid. Both times.
I know.
But
I have him down as going
I told you I didn't know him well before.
3 right, 3 wrong there.
yeah, we
50%.
and then I gotta ask you on your survey, you said that you're not afraid of anything. But the question was, what are you embarrassed to admit you're afraid of? So is it that you're not afraid of anything, or you're not embarrassed to admit what you're afraid of?
I just couldn't think of an answer to give you guys.
We do have some more questions from fans. Jamie Hyatt asks, other than the team, how do you like Minot, the city, and the fans at the arena?
The fans are always very ecstatic at the games. There's a lot of them, and especially when you score, it's a great feeling knowing they're always there, and there's always a lot of them.
All right. Also, putting in a question is Herm Fennell, which, by the way, how's it going, Herm? 1, what is your favorite podcast to
Spit
listen
and
to?
Chicklets podcast.
Well, that covers it then.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the second
He was going to say
question.
if you said Tauros Weekly that it was cheating, but it doesn't matter because you didn't go that route.
Yeah.
I'm a little hurt though. We
Yeah,
put a lot of
sorry.
work into this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right, fans, that's all we got for today's episode of Tauros Weekly. Once again, coming to you live from Bonfire Studios North. That's Ken Oda. I'm Peter Theodos, and for Shane Widener and Cole O'Connell and all the other captains, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.